I can. And I must say, so usually everyone, I see a lot of familiar faces. We usually have an interpreter on these calls, and there's not one here. So we are wondering what happened. I wonder if it fell off their calendar or something happened. So I'm looking at the audience right now and assuming that interpretation isn't needed, which is maybe we dodged a sort of bullet. We got lucky right now, but typically we do provide interpretation every one of these, and then we record it in English and in Spanish. So I do apologize that we will not have a Spanish recording without an interpreter. So usually these are just on their every other week calendar. So we'll figure out what happened and fix that problem next time. And hey, everybody. Hi, welcome to Food Bill Action Team. And again, we will make sure next time we have interpretation and it is recorded. So we're going to try to keep this to 30 minutes because that's usually our commitment. But I kind of want to know how y'all are doing. So just chat in something, like how you're feeling. Like I'm feeling yellow. I'm feeling sunshine. Mickey's feeling busy. Inca is spinning. Did anyone see the moon this morning?
I saw it last night. It was incredible. It was really nice.
Really fantastic. Deep in a job search, that's exhausting. That is a lot. Tired. Oh, I'm feeling we're a little down here today. Here, everyone. Well, amidst tired and busy and spinning and job searching and sick, thank you all for showing up and being here and talking about policy, state legislation and federal legislation. And the moon was fantastic and so busy. It is mid-semester for students out there. We know how painful it is right now if you're a student. Feeling like a hummingbird always going. Oh, which is beautiful and probably exhausting. And it is warm and sunny. And this morning, in the last few days of the sun this morning I will say I was very blessed to see. I left on a run on the Flatirons this morning, and I saw the moon go down behind the snow-covered Flatirons, and the sun come up through the trees on me. And it was a gift I do not take for granted. It was very nice to be greeted by the sun this morning. So I hope that amidst all your busyness and tiredness that y'all get a little more sunshine in your lives as well. So thank you for being here. And Lakita, we were just talking about we were just chatting in kind of how you're all feeling today and what you're bringing to this space. So please feel free to chat in a little bit of just like how you're feeling today. There's a lot going on. So we thank y'all for being here, and we will try to keep it pretty short because we do try to keep it to 30 minutes. But there is a lot going on at the state legislative level and the federal legislative level. So we just kind of wanted to share a little bit about what's going on with bills. And so I'm going to start with the state and where bills are at, and then share a little bit about at the federal level where some farm bill marker bills are at. And this is like a come one, come all. So please, everyone, like chime in, like if I'm forgetting something, if there's a bill I forgot or an update I forgot, please let me know. And I'm going to try to screen share. Let's see if I can do this. And please, if you're just joining us, we were just all chatting and just a little bit about how everyone is feeling today and in this moment and what you're kind of bringing into the space. So please feel free to chat a little update about how you're feeling. Okay. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Are you seeing? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, great. Oh, and Caitlin, this is going to be repeat for you. And Andrea, sorry, Miss Andrea, Caitlin, this is going to be repeat. So we just wanted to kind of share a little bit about where some state bills are at right now. And so this kind of back, and if I'm missing anything, please just add them in, chime in. So we are kind of mid-session in the state legislature right now because we have, we run the January through a May session. So we have a lot of bills basically that have passed through their committees and are either sitting in appropriations or even some going to the full, like the full Senate floor, for example. So for example, House Bill 23-1008, we won't spend time talking on that before. We've talked about this bill a lot in the FBAT before. That is a bill we are working on with Representative Wiseman on food accessibility. That passed House Finance and it's sitting in appropriations right now. The next bill, House Bill 23-1087, I think Miss Andrea, this is basically the forward contracting bill, right? So this is a bill that basically allows with state dollars that you can enter into a forward contract with, say, a Colorado farmer and pay them in advance for their food, even if you don't receive that food until later in the season, right? So if you're a food pantry that wants to purchase food with the food pantry assistance grant, that you could say enter into a financial contractual relationship with a grower in March, which is when they need to know what to plant and grow and what money is coming in the door. And even if that food is delivered sort of like, consistently throughout the season. This bill also includes languages that includes schools. So it includes schools as one of the eligible nonprofits. So it allows more flexibility for schools to also do what's called forward contracting around things like farm to school. So Ms. Andrea, I think you were there testifying on Tuesday. Do you want to tell us about it?
I did not testify, but I witnessed the testifying in process, and Greta, who is a part of the blueprint. Um, it was exciting, and I think I was truly amazed when I saw a Republican senator sitting right beside them, supporting them and speaking up for this bill. And it went through with flying colors. It was just an amazing thing to hear, and hear the testimonies of a farmer as well, talking about how it helps her know how much seed to plant, and they don't have to throw away anything.
That is what a beautiful experience and a fun day at the Capitol. That's so cool you could be there. So this is with I think the Blueprint and Hunger organized that. They've been leading the charge on this one. And it's flying through. It went to the full Senate today. And there's no fiscal note to it. It's just a rule change. So I can't imagine anything's going to happen. I think it's just going to continue to fly on through, which is really great. The Ag Workforce Development Program, I don't know a whole lot about. It also is proceeding really well. It's now, it has passed its committees. It's sitting in appropriations. The Ag Workforce Development Program does already exist. I know that. And this is extending in terms of, I think, someone correct me if I'm wrong, right now that you can get basically help cover, say, like on-farm interns for 6-month periods, but it allows them coverage now for up to 12 months. And I think there's other improvements and expansions to that. Does anyone else know anything about that I'm missing? Okay. It seems pretty simple and has a lot of support. The Colorado Commodity Supplemental Food Grant Program. Colorado Commodity Supplemental Food already exists as a federally funded program, and it provides shelf-stable foods primarily for elders. And this would just commit an additional $1 million of state money to bring more shelf-stable foods delivered to elders. I'm oversimplifying it. That's the gist of it. And that has passed committee and is sitting in appropriations. There's a common theme here of where bills are at. The Medicaid reimbursement for community health services. That bill, and this is one, I should say too, obviously the top 2 bills we actively are supporting. Some of these we just don't because we don't really need to, like we're monitoring workforce development. It doesn't really need our support. We're monitoring commodity supplemental food grant. Doesn't really need our support. We are actively supporting this next one, Medicaid reimbursement for community health services. This is being led by Children's Hospital, Colorado. Really cool. To really boil it down, it's now creating or allowing community health navigators, community health workers to be a Medicaid reimbursable service. So that would across the state of Colorado. So it would really expand who and where and how and to what degree community health workers could be working in community, and could, nonprofits and hospitals and others could be employing them because it is a Medicaid reimbursable service. We support this because it's really cool and important, but also these are individuals who are out in community talking about all sorts of programs, including SNAP, SNAP eligibility and SNAP applications, WIC eligibility and applications. They can talk about double up food bucks. So Inka, question.
And just to connect the dots here, the branch that I sit in, the Health Promotion Chronic Disease Prevention branch, we have CDC funding for our cardiovascular disease grants program, as well as our diabetes grants program. And within those CDC grants has a lot of strategy and activities all around our community health workers. So we have at the state health department a person who manages what we call health navigators, but it sort of is broadening that term with community health workers. And so we're doing a lot of work on kind of the role of a community health worker, a health navigator, in all of our areas of chronic disease prevention and management. So just as an FYI for you all. So it's really, I think Wendy, you said it perfectly, where we're looking at these grants now from the lens of social services. And so it's not just about the disease, whether you are at risk or have it. It's really about all of the wraparound services that you need to sort of manage or prevent that disease from really limiting your quality of life.
So thank you for that beautiful summary. And I think, Inka, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also an existing state certification program. So it's just a real easy extent, like that already, there's already a certification program, it already exists. This infrastructure is there.
Yep, they're typically in junior colleges where you could become right now though, it's health navigators. We made the decision about, I would say like 7-8 years ago, to go towards a term called health navigators. And in my opinion, I think that sort of really limited our scope. And so now we're sort of rolling that back and thinking like more of that broader term that nationally people are using. So Colorado tried to be different and make it a little bit more complicated than it had to be. So we do have certified programs across 5 or 6 different programs where people can go and get credentialed and they get badges. And we've talked about like, can they get badges specifically to SNAP and WIC, like that they learn all of the
applications,
right?
Yeah,
right.
So cool, right?
Yeah.
Like I become a nutrition benefits expert, badge expert, or so.
Yep.
So cool. Okay,
we're having lots of those conversations, and so again, it seems like, when you look at this list, you're like, how is that related to food? But it is. It ties very closely to sort of the work that you're all doing.
Yep, agreed. I call this is like I'm like fangirl. This is my fangirl bill because, and we even like actively support. I don't even think we bring that much to the table, but like this is just so smart and such a cool idea and so impactful. So yeah, really cool. Thank you for all of that, Inka. And this bill is moving forward very swimmingly as well. So again, sitting in appropriations, I have not heard any sort of red flags or concerns on this bill. So it looks really good. And then the Food Pantry Assistance Grant Program, moving down the list, is a $3 million request to continue the Food Pantry Assistance Grant Program, which has existed for several years in a few different iterations, with some private and then public funding. Hunger Free Colorado really initiated this, and now through state funding, it's managed through the Blueprint to End Hunger. It is money directly for food pantries only to buy essentially local products, Colorado grown, some protein and produce, and products that typically are missing or harder to get or to afford on food pantry shelves. So allows food pantries their own purchasing power to buy more local products. And that's a $3 million request, and it is passed its Senate committee and is now sitting in appropriations, where all bills are sitting right now, except this last one. So the Colorado Food Systems Advisory Council is a bill that's it actually was created in 2011. It's currently a governor appointed, essentially board or commission advisory council that brings together food systems players. Right now it's sort of housed and staffed out of CSU. And this is its third, I believe, what's called a sunset review. I think every 3 years it has to go through a sunset review, and they just sort of look, hey, is it impactful? Should it continue? There have been some proposed amendments to this. It did go to committee last Thursday, or whatever March 9th was. I think yes, last Thursday, and then was held over, and it's actually in committee as we speak right now. Actually, I don't know what number it is, but it's not right now. It's about to be heard pretty soon. And Senate Ag, but in it back at committee is held over, so there's no testimony or anything, although there were some testimony last week. So it has turned out to be a little bit more going on with this bill than we anticipated. There has been some concern, there's been some opposition, and there have been some introduced amendments. So I'll be curious to see what comes out of the Senate Ag Committee today on COFSAC, the Colorado Food Systems Advisory Council. And Nourish currently has a seat on COFSAC that I currently sit in that seat. I know lots of people on the phone have been involved in work groups of COFSAC as well over the years. So those are just bills that we've been tracking. I know there are many others as well. Are there other state bills? Oh, actually, two things. One is, I know this is a food bill action team, and I wish I had actions for you, but given kind of where we're at in the session right now, everything's just kind of sitting in appropriations or so there's just not a whole lot. There's no bill that right now is like, we need more testimony. We have sign-on letters. We're just kind of not there right now. So it's just sort of an update today. But anyone else, are there other bills in the state legislature right now that you guys have all been tracking or involved with that you would like to share?
This is Jess. I'm just curious if there's an
Oh, yeah.
update around the emergency response fund.
Oh, yeah.
In response to the SNAP benefits.
Yes. So, and if anyone else knows, great question, Jess. So, a couple things. One, I'm sure a lot of, or if not all of you are familiar with this on the phone, that the sort of pandemic era emergency allotment for SNAP benefits ended last week. So the estimate, at least the national estimate, is that now SNAP participating households will lose about on average $90 a month of benefit than what they're receiving sort of during the emergency, pandemic crisis. So it's a really significant hit to SNAP receiving households. It's just a significant hit, period, to all of us, right? That dollars that have been very, very helpful to households and increasing households' purchasing power. There's going to be some big decreases starting right now in March. And so in response, several advocates in the state worked with the State Department of Human Services to request an emergency request for money to essentially shore up the charitable food system. So there was a $14 million request that did go through, an emergency request to essentially go to food banks and food pantries for starting now throughout the summer to help them be able to have the capacity and the food to respond to what they are already experiencing as an increased demand because of the decrease in SNAP benefits. Who else has what am I missing on the details on that though? Does anyone else have stuff to fill in? So that was good news. Jess, thanks for asking that. Although it's not an answer, it's not a solution. That's my commentary. It's still not a solution. It's kind of a stopgap measure to say that, oh, we need to be feeding people emergency food because we can't actually take care of people. I absolutely see why it's necessary, and unfortunately, it's not an answer. It's not a true solution. So, okay, anything else? Any other updates? Any other state bills that y'all are working on? Okay. I'm gonna keep on rolling to federal then. Okay. So, I think we talked about this last time. We're like, I hope y'all don't have whiplash because we're going like back and forth between state and federal. because both are really hopping right now. So there's a lot going on in Washington, D.C. right now. And what I was on a couple calls today with DC partners who I just think are just like, it is chaos and everyone is exhausted. But it's this flurry of time to introduce marker bills for the Farm Bill. So we're seeing a ton of activity of essentially getting content of the Farm Bill written is what's going on right now. And Laura, I just saw your chat and I'm so sorry. Yeah, if anyone can see the chat, Laura Kill chatted in the like sort of reality of what's going on right now for humans in this country. So thank you, Laura, for sharing that. And thank you all for being here, everyone fighting for this and fighting for other solutions when the government isn't stepping up. So back to federal government, which clearly I still believe in, and we're still going to keep asking them to do things for us, is so with the Farm Bill, again, I think we've talked about this before, marker bills are when a legislator, has a concept they really are passionate about and they want to see introduced and eventually become part of the Farm Bill. So people are drafting these marker bills right now, like left and right. Originally, the deadline was next week to get marker bills for the Farm Bill in. They're now extending that to the end of the month, but it's just like a flurry of activity in DC of people sort of really introducing the concepts they want to see live on in the 2023 Farm Bill. Even though we still think a 2023 Farm Bill probably won't be actually like signed into law until 2024, realistically. But we just wanted to give sort of an update on where things are at. So a couple of bills that have been introduced and we think are about to be introduced, and we will totally share them with you, is the Local Processing Act. I think we've done a blast about this. And if anyone wants anything more about this, just shoot me an email or something and we can get you more. But this has been introduced, very high level. It creates a mechanism for both more funding and more training and technical assistance to have more local and regional processing facilities, primarily around poultry, but other livestock as well. And anyone who works in this industry is knowing it's very challenging if you're a very small meat grower to have sort of local and accessible processing so you can keep your product truly local and affordable when it goes to market. So that has been introduced moving forward. The Justice for Black Farmers Act has been reintroduced. Some of you may remember this from 2020. Senator Booker introduced this in 2020 and reintroduced it promptly in the 118th Congress this year. And it is, if you haven't read it, I read it if you're interested. It is a very, very comprehensive bill to really approach, to address and undo hundreds of years of discrimination, particularly against Black farmers, and to then build in new systems and structures to really increase opportunities and access, particularly for Black farmers, but honestly for Indigenous farmers, farmers of color across the board. So again, it's very comprehensive in that it's building in new systems and structures in the USDA specifically, like oversight committees within the USDA. It's looking at setting up new lending programs. It's looking at setting a really interesting new, essentially land reparations program where the federal government would be more proactively involved in actually distributing land to Black farmers. There's a lot in there. And again, just incredible sort of wraparound bill. So that has been reintroduced and has maybe not a ton of bipartisan support, but a lot of the majority of Democrats on the Ag Committee have co-sponsored this bill at this point. I will tell you, our senator has not co-sponsored this bill. And I think the feedback we received is that it was just strategic, and not every senator can co-sponsor every bill. And to be very honest, Colorado is not a state that represents a lot of Black farmers. So it wasn't really a target for Senator Booker and his team to like bring on the Colorado senator, since he had so much other Democratic support. So we asked his office about this. It's not because Senator Bennett does not support this bill. This wasn't a strategic ask for the Democrats. So other bills that we anticipate being introduced soon. Actually, one this does not need to be introduced. Sorry, the Kids Eat Local Act. I put this in here because we originally did think that the Kids Eat Local Act is an act that has been introduced in the past, and it is very, very specific. It's basically just like a language change that would then allow school districts to use local as a specification when, say, issuing an RFP to order food from a supplier, distributor, or grower. So right now, school districts cannot say, I specify local as a requirement, right? It's so this would allow schools to say, hey, even with price, cost differences, all of that, I actually want to specify this has to be local, right? So it allows schools to do that. Obviously, school districts are still going to purchase within their budget. So it's a really interesting and powerful language change that was going to be introduced in a marker bill. And then the USDA took this up on their own, which is really, really cool. It's great to do things without a bill if you can. So the USDA right now has an open comment period. And again, just let me know if you want to see this and comment. We have submitted comments as an organization. I'm sure many of you have. The USDA issued their proposed changes to child nutrition meal patterns. And one of their proposals is to basically adopt this local specification, which of course then we submitted comments saying, yay, that's great. So great, the USDA is just taking this up. Great not to have to do it through the Farm Bill. Marker bills that we do need for the Farm Bill that are coming. There is a local foods bill that we know is coming any day now that we've talked a lot with you all about our Farm Bill platform, because this is the bill that really looks at building more equity and accessibility into all of the local and regional food systems, like grant programs in the USDA. The local food promotion program and farmers market promotion program, these programs that already exist and grants that already exist, but it's really about creating lower dollar number, easier applications. It's about set-asides for BIPOC farmers. It's about more training and technical assistance and really, and more money. It's also about more money, I won't lie. It's also about increasing the baseline mandatory for these grants, but then also really expanding that accessibility. These federal grants are a pain in the patootie to apply for and to manage and to report on. And so really trying to say, hey, these local and regional food systems monies really are about shoring up more than just like highly well-resourced nonprofits with grant writers, right? So that bill is coming. There will be a bill. GusNIP is the federal grant that funds Double Up Food Bucks and all SNAP incentives. There will be a very significant GusNIP bill being introduced very soon, which we'll be excited to share with you, which will ask for more money across the board, and something else that we've talked about here, which is around allowing EBT integrations, so the integration of the benefit onto the EBT card, and then creating a whole new tier of funding for states that are really ready to go to scale, like with EBT integration that is coming. There should be a standalone produce procurement bill, which is really looking at where and how the USDA spends their own public dollars on buying food and how to integrate more values essentially into that. So in the USDA, can they specifically set aside money to buy produce specifically, local produce specifically from BIPOC growers or other growers at the USDA terms socially disadvantaged, and really starting to model how the USDA can use their food dollars with a few more values. That bill we've been told is being drafted. We know there's a senior farmers market nutrition program bill. We just talked about senior FMMP the other week on our call. There's a bill being drafted to increase money for the senior farmers market nutrition program and increase its ability to really reach all states with this program. And then I put question mark, Farm to School Act. We're still hearing that they're maybe trying to do some more work around farm to school in the Farm Bill, but we don't know yet. So Farm Bill, kind of like where we're at with the state legislature right now, is like, it is a flurry of activity in DC, but until we actually see like the marker bill introduced, there isn't much that we can do. Like as soon as the marker bill is introduced, then we're going to be like asking for co-sponsors. There's going to be sign-on letters, all of this. So it's more just like we're kind of greasing the wheels right now. And I'm going to pull up one more thing to share, but as I do that, just shout out because I can't see you because I'm pulling something up, but what did I miss? Anything to add? Questions? And just shout out because I can't see you. Okay. One last question for you all. Tell me if this is interesting. So Becca's on the line. This is Becca's creation. I just want to see if this is something you all want and we'll share it with you. So what we're trying to do, thank you, Becca, who's on the line, is the Farm Bill platform that this is all based on our Farm Bill platform. So we know it's not everything that you all have seen. Is we're trying to track, okay, what marker bills were introduced in the last Congress or are being introduced now that actually move our priorities forward. So for example, Local Foods Act, not yet, but we expect it. Local Processing Act, yes, it's been introduced. So it's just sort of our way of tracking as marker bills are introduced that specifically move our Farm Bill priorities forward. So just question, is this of interest to people? Like, do you guys want to see this? My question, is this helpful?
Yeah, I think it's super helpful. I love it.
Okay. Okay. Becca, I will check with you before I send it out to make sure we feel like it's like publicly shareable. We can share. Yay. Okay. Becca says yes. Okay. Great. Yeah. So this is something that will be a very live, especially after like next week, like this will be being updated on a regular basis. So again, really just trying to tie it to our specific Farm Bill priorities. So we can say, so this is just so you know how we're going to use this is then we can go back to the delegation and say, hey, you've seen our Farm Bill platform. We're all about SNAP benefit adequacy. Oh, and by the way, these two marker bills have been introduced. So, if you haven't seen them, let's see them. They're looking for co-sponsors, what have you. So, yeah. Okay, great. Okay. So that was it. That was my last question. We will share this. It'll be a way we can all just kind of, bookmark it if you want. And if you are, please, as always, if there's things that we are missing, let us know and we will get them in there. So I did kind of close to half an hour. I'm okay to stay on for a few more minutes. You are free to go. Thank you for being here. But if other questions, comments, please bring them on. And thank you.
Hi, thank you for the updates. I have a question. Can you hear me?
Totally.
Okay. Do we have any more information about Medicaid being used to purchase produce?
Great question. Sort of. And we will put that
my
in
internet because it's
Oh no. Oh, you're good. Can you hear me, Laquita?
yeah. I just
Okay, cool.
set up a new modem, so my Wi-Fi is weird right now.
Yeah, and my Wi-Fi is just, I feel like always weird. So what we can share, so there's talk. How about that?
Right.
There's a lot of talk right now, but it may be I think this could materialize into a marker bill, but remains to be seen, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
the one thing I think it'd be really cool to, and we are not doing this, so if you are, someone else can, this would be so great, is that it's just how the waivers that the state applies for. And oh my God, does anyone on the line remember what the waiver number is called?
I think it's
Yeah.
1115.
That's it, right?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay. So there could be work here that we could do in Colorado to say how Colorado uses their Medicaid waiver 1115, which is always focused on basically preventive services. So are there opportunities that Colorado could also be asking for waivers to do? And yes, to take advantage of that opportunity. So there's maybe things that we could pursue as a state. And then there's just a lot of chatter with some federal legislators around being interested in doing this. So is that okay, Laquita? I will try to share some of the chatter and we can keep tracking that if anything actually gets introduced. And is there anything else that you know about?
No, that's all I know. No, Carla Maricini. I always say her last name wrong, so sorry, Carla.
Me too.
She shared, because I shared an article because I'm a part of Blueprint Governing Council, and I shared an article about the Fresh Connect program in Boston.
Yes.
And to see if we can possibly get them to expand here. And so people were sharing about certain organizations who have done it before. They even mentioned Nourished had done something before with the RX program. And then Carla shared that Biden had just approved it, but I didn't. And then she said that I forgot, people are talking about it here in Colorado. And I was just wondering if there was any updates. And I was really excited because food is medicine. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, I was just talking about this. And then like a couple of weeks later, Carl was like, Laquita, here's an update. So which is so
Oh, that's
exciting.
awesome.
Yeah.
It is so exciting. So,
Yes.
and we can continue to track this, and please, if anyone else knows, please bring it here too. But as I understand it, it is the state would just have to apply and use their waiver to do that.
Okay.
So from what I
Yeah.
understand too, is that right now they're in in the negotiation period of the third contract for the RAIs. So RAIs are regional accountability entities that essentially act as insurance companies and administer Medicaid throughout Colorado. And right now they're figuring out what they want this new third contract to consist of between the Colorado State Agency and these entities that are administering Medicaid. And that will include negotiating new contracts of what can be included in 1115 waivers and other tools that we have to allow food to be included in Medicaid costs. And by creating this new contract, it'll be like a whole new opportunity for redefining that. So now's a critical time of getting those thoughts engaged with. And it's happening from what I understand, or at least trying to.
Trying to in Colorado.
Yes, yes. This is all, all Colorado.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay,
the
it's super cool.
ACC 3.0, if you want to look it up. The Accountable Care Collective, I believe. That's like the contract that they're negotiating right now.
Oof. It's amazing how complicated this stuff is.
Yeah, seriously.
I wonder if we could, oh, Anjani left by Anjani. I wonder if that would be a cool FBAT update too, is we could get someone like from HICPUF or Medicaid State Agency, and even someone like Dr. Sandy Simmer could talk and just about like, here's what is possible, here's what we're already doing, and here's what would be cool the state could do. I wonder if that'd be a cool update. We could invite some speakers.
Could be informative. There's so many groups too, like Hunger Free and many other organizations working on it.
But I'm with Laquita on this one. I just feel like it's there's chatter everywhere, and it's also really confusing to understand like what we can and cannot do. So it'd be nice to have, yeah, maybe every one of those spaces there needs to be like on a blueprint call, on a feedback call, just like here's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love that. Okay,
And
thanks for asking that. Great question.
You're welcome. Thanks, Becca, for that info also. And you said that was Accountable Care Collective?
I think so, yeah. Let me look it up really quickly. It's ACC, yeah, Accountable Care Collective. I can drop the link
Thank
too.
you. Great,
Cool.
thank you.
Thanks, everybody. All right. Y'all get anything else? And Becca chatted that in. Let's see that. So confusing. All right. Thanks, everybody. Sure. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, y'all.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Dave.